Timeline Project, Tokyo, a Century of Change, 1925 to 2025. We chose Tokyo because it represents the incredible power of change. In the last 100 years, it has been completely destroyed, not once, but twice, and each time it came back stronger. Tokyo's story is one of resilience, innovation, and global influence.
Tokyo is not just Japan's capital. It is one of the most influential cities in the world. Over the past century, it has stood at the crossroads of empire, war, economic miracles, cultural revolutions, and cutting-edge technology. Understanding Tokyo helps us understand not just Japanese history, but global history as well. 1920s to 1940s, earthquakes, empire, and destruction. Our story begins in the 1920s. In 1923, Tokyo was struck by the Great Kanto earthquake, one of the most catastrophic disasters in Japanese history. Over 100,000 people died and nearly 60% of the city was destroyed. But its impact went beyond physical damage. It triggered intense social unrest and nationalism. The earthquake shook the foundations of modern Japan, fueling ethnic violence and political radicalism.
As Japan's military gained power in 1930, Tokyo became the command center of the expanding Japanese Empire. It was both a symbol and a tool of imperial ambition. The city grew rapidly, but war loomed on the horizon.
1940s. On the night of March 9th to the 10th, 1945, Tokyo was hit by the deadliest conventional bombing raid in history. During Operation Meeting House, the U.S. dropped incendiary bombs that created a firestorm, destroying a large portion of the city. Yoshihiro Hashimoto, a survivor of these attacks, interviewed with PBS and describes when the firestorm was over, 16 square miles of the city has been reduced to ashes, and more than 100,000 people had died. The flames reached such high temperatures that they turned the streets into rivers of molten asphalt, and whole neighborhoods were incinerated.
The goal of the bombing was to destroy Japan's war infrastructure, particularly industrial centers, and Tokyo's densely populated Kitamachi district was heavily targeted. The densely packed area, made up of wooden houses and markets, was incredibly vulnerable to the incendiary bombs. The bombing raid devastated vast areas of Tokyo, leading to one of the highest civilian death tolls from any air raid of World War II.
1950s to 1970s. Recovery, growth, and global rebirth. Post-World War I, after the end of World War II, Post-World War II, after the end of World War II in September of 1945, Tokyo was once again reduced to ruins, but within a few decades it became the face of a new Japan. Under U.S. occupation, Japan adopted a democratic constitution and began rebuilding with American aid and domestic determination.
1950s to 1980s. The years that followed brought the Japanese economic miracle, a period of rapid growth between the mid-1950s and into the late 1980s. Japan became the world's second largest economy, and Tokyo was its beating heart. The government worked closely with industries through the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, encouraging experts, innovation, and high efficiency. The Keiretsu corporate groups and a high national savings rate helped fund investment in technology and infrastructure.
It's also important to note that during the time of the Japanese economic miracle, a symbolic turning point in world presence came in 1964, when Tokyo hosted the Summer Olympics. It marked Japan's re-emergence on the world stage. Tokyo transformed overnight, offering new expressways, hotels, and the Shinkansen bullet train that modernized the city. The Olympics showcased Tokyo as a symbol of peace, progress, and reinvention.
Tokyo's skyline began to soar. Major corporations set up headquarters in the capital. The city became a hub for electronics, automobiles, finance, and global trade, a symbol of Japan's rebirth.
1980s to 1990s. Bubble economy in the lost decade. By the 1980s, Tokyo was one of the richest cities in the world. Real estate prices skyrocketed, and a square meter in Ginza, could sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The 1980s continued, but this growth was unsustainable. It was what economists call a bubble. In the 1980s, Japan's stock market and real estate values soared to irrational highs. Driven by excessive speculation, easy credit, and loose monetary policy, people and companies believed prices would continue to rise indefinitely, and banks lent massive amounts of money with little regulation.
1980s continuation. But like all bubbles, it eventually burst. In the early 1990s, asset prices collapsed almost overnight. The stock market crashed, real estate values plummeted, and the banks were left with huge amount of unpaid loans. This triggered a financial crisis, leading to what is now called the lost decade. Japan fell into a long-term economic stagnation marked by deflation, a weakened bank sector, and sharp decline in public and consumer confidence.
Despite the slowdown, Tokyo's cultural influence didn't fade. In fact, this period gave rise to a global pop culture icons leading into the early 2000s, including anime, manga, J-pop, and street fashion. Neighborhoods like Harajuku and Akihabara became world famous for creativity and youth culture.
2000s to 2010, innovation, crisis, and cultural expansion. 2000s. As the 21st century began, Tokyo leaned into innovation. It became a smart city with world-class public transport, eco-efficient buildings, and high-speed connectivity. Automated systems and tech integration became part of everyday life.
Tokyo also expanded its global soft power, the ability to influence the world not through force, but through culture, creativity, and innovation. By the 2000s, it had become a powerhouse of pop culture exports. Anime films from Studio Ghibli, such as Spirited Away and My Neighbor Totoro, won international acclaim and helped define modern Japanese storytelling on the world stage. These works didn't just entertain. They conveyed environmental values, spiritual themes, and a unique sense of wonder that captured audiences globally.
Meanwhile, Tokyo's neighborhoods like Hakura became global centers of fashion experimentation. Styles such as Lolita, Visuki, and Decora weren't just trends. They were personal and artistic statements that challenged norms. Harajuku gave Tokyo a reputation as a city of youth-driven innovation and individually inspiring fashion designers and cultural movements worldwide.
Tokyo's tech industry also fueled this cultural boom. Companies like Sony and Nintendo, both headquartered in or near Tokyo, brought Japanese creativity to living rooms around the world through gaming consoles, characters like Mario and Pikachu, and innovations like the Walkman and PlayStation. This cultural presence abroad became a form of soft power. The Cool Japan strategy uses anime and pop culture to reshape Japan's image, especially among young people worldwide. Tokyo became the source of modern, imaginative Japan, one associated with fun, technology, and artistic originality.
2010. In 2011, the Tokyo earthquake and tsunami struck northern eastern Japan. While the disaster didn't directly hit Tokyo, the city was deeply affected. Trains stopped, blackouts occurred, and the panic spread. But Tokyo responded quickly and adapted by reinforcing emergency infrastructure and public safety systems. As the National Centers for Environmental Information reports, all railway services were suspended in Tokyo, with an estimated 20,000 people stranded at major stations across the city. In the hours after the earthquake, some train services were resumed. Most Tokyo area train lines resumed full service by the next day, 12th March.
Pandemic, Tokyo 2020, and an uncertain future.
In 2020, Tokyo, like the rest of the world, was brought to a standstill by the COVID-19 pandemic. The city's famously crowded streets and trains emptied. Businesses and schools went remote. Tourism, a major economic driver, collapsed.
2021 COVID-19. That same year, Tokyo was scheduled to host the Olympics, but the event was postponed. In 2021, the Tokyo Olympics were finally held. With no speculators and strict safety protocols, though strange, it was another symbol of the city's adaptability. According to the International Olympic Committee, Tokyo 2020 ultimately showed it is possible to keep a pandemic at bay, though rigorous health measures and global cooperation.
Now, Tokyo faces complex challenges: a shrinking population, an aging society, and the growing threat of climate change. But it's also investing in a green technology, climate resistance, and smart urban design. Aiming to lead the way to a sustainable future, recent research highlights that Japan's shift towards renewable energy is driven by the dual need to enhance energy security and achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, reflecting a broader commitment to reducing reliance on fossil fuels and preparing for long-term sustainability.
Reflection. Causes of change and continuity. What caused these major changes in Tokyo? The answer is complex. Disasters like the Great Kanto earthquake and the World War II bombing physically reshaped the city. Economic shifts, from miracle to crash, changed its identity. Culture, policy, and technology all played crucial roles.
But through it all, Tokyo has remained the center of Japan's politics, economy, and culture. Its ability to rise from devastation, again and again, is unmatched. The spirit of innovation and resilience continues to define the city.
Conclusion. Tokyo is more than just a capital city. It's a symbol of transformation. From imperial capital to cultural magnanimity, from ruins to global power, Tokyo's journey reflects the power of change.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through Tokyo, a Century of Change. We hope this project gave you a deeper understanding of how Tokyo has evolved over the past 100 years, how it's shaped by both global events and local resilience. Tokyo's story is a testament to the enduring spirit of innovation, adaptation, and renewal.